Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Life with Lily, and we are talking about anxiety in the spiritual realms. That is going to be so much fun. I am elated to have Laura West with us. She is an amazingly bubbly personality without actually being bubbly, which makes me elated because I'm over the top anyway. So we're going to have her bop on up. Hello, darling. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. I'm so energized right now. I just got off the phone with somebody. I am feeling good, all the positivity. So, tell us a little bit about you, why you're fabulous, why you're here.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I'm glad that was a good phone call to put you in a good mood.
Just I'm pissed.
I know. We will switch that around quick. Don't worry. Like you said, my name is Laura West, and I am I guess, registered nurse by day and a psychic medium, author, podcast host, not by night. I would say also by day. I just kind of do it all in my waking hours. So yeah, that's probably me in a nutshell.
I love it. I love it. And for those watching, so I'm from the Twin Cities. What state are you in?
I'm in California.
That's right, where the sun shines. You can tell that's not
Yeah.
here. We're all getting ready for winter, like no more vitamin D for the year. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we saw the sun out too, as far as time wise, but yeah, yeah, still nice and warm.
Yeah, it's like the sun is already setting here. Like it's starting to get darker here. I love it. It's so we're talking about anxiety and spirituality and what does that look like to you? Understanding that it looks different to everybody, but for your personal experience and then also what you see with your clients, what does that look like?
Yes, so I'm so glad that you put it that way, my experience. And I'm going to talk about my anxiety not from the perspective of a healthcare professional, but from the perspective of a human being who
I love
experiences
it.
it. Yeah, because it's two very different things to experience it personally. So, um, for me, anxiety was creeping up in physical symptoms for me, and I would feel like I was going to pass out. My heart was racing, and all these things. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I'm totally safe. Usually, I was doing very mundane things, either taking a walk or just in my house or taking a shower, just these very mundane tasks where there was absolutely no threat or danger. And all of a sudden, I would start to get these physical symptoms of anxiety attacks. And so, you know, prior to my spiritual journey, I would say prior to my spiritual awakening number 2, which I say had started in 2019, I didn't have these anxiety attacks yet. That actually happened a little bit after spiritual awakening number 2. But before that, I think that I probably, I know I would have handled it very differently. I still believed in God, so I probably would have prayed to God to like help and everything like that. But since um 2019 and having spiritual awakening number 2, I've become much closer with the members of my soul team. I like to call them my guides and angels, ancestors, etc. And so not only do I have God or source or however you want to call it, but I also have this other team that can turn to for help. And usually when I have the more of the health related things, I would go to my angels for that. So I'd call my angels to help me when I was going through those periods, because it really became sort of this desperate call of, please take this away. I don't want this. Take this away. It feels terrible. And so um, I realized that my first thought was, well, I'm spiritually awakened. Why am I having anxiety attacks? Like, isn't that something that, I meditate? Isn't that something that I should just sort of naturally sort of leave my realm of physical possibilities? And it actually came about after spiritual awakening number 2. So I was a little bit surprised by it, because I didn't hear much about the let's see, the ongoing physical ailments, more emotional ailments that people can endure despite being spiritually awakened. So I'm thinking to myself, something's wrong. Like I'm either not awakened enough, or I don't have faith enough, or there's something wrong with my spiritual belief system. That why is my body responding this way? Why am I not able to calm myself down quicker using my breathing techniques that I learned, or having done some yoga, da 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 da. I'm like, why am I still going through this? And so I took it upon myself to share about it on my podcast and on lovely shows like yours, to share that it has nothing to do with how spiritual you are or not. It just has to do with the fact that you're still human. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's basically what brought me to where I am now.
Well, yeah, and you bring up a good point that we actually have someone watching who commented, and they said, talking about anxiety, my brain is fine, but my body decides something is wrong. Something's trying to kill me.
Yes.
And they have a laughing face. And I think that anxiety in any form is mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. When people are like, I only feel it physically, it's like, yes, that's real anxiety. I only have worry thoughts. Yes, that's real anxiety. So for me, it's like, it's physical sometimes, but it's mental. Like, I will have panic attacks, but it's also attached to like PTSD. I will have like a gentle thrumming in the back of my head at all times. That's just like anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. And that is just, you're right. It's a human experience. We all have it. Like this idea that somehow we're not going to have anxiety. In traditional Chinese medicine, I love this theory. We are human and meant to experience the whole spectrum of human emotion. And so this idea that we're only supposed to be going over there to like light, love, happiness, gratitude. And I'm like, not gonna lie, if a pet dies, I'm sad and I'm okay with that. Like grief, and I like to steer away from jealousy. Not gonna lie, that one just kind of a downer for me. But the full spectrum of human emotion is normal, and this fallacy that it's not is,
Mhm.
I think, really toxic with spirituality. So for me, sometimes my anxiety around spirituality, not I was about to say not so much anymore, but let's be honest, it it doesn't happen as often now as it used to. The am I doing it right? Is
Oh,
this imagination? Is this like, those are questions that come up with your anxiety, with your spirituality. And it's something that like people who just start out on their path, and by the way, I love it. Your phase 2 of your spiritual awakening, the sequel is
yeah.
is what it was. It comes back for more. I love it. Is that yes, you get better and you grow your confidence and your trust in yourself and your soul team and your angels and your deities and whatever else. You still question yourself occasionally. We all have an off day where we're like, I suck. I suck. And every single guide I have is screaming down, loser. I told you to turn left. Oh my God, look at them fail. Like, it is so, my team is very vocal and opinionated. Like, we all have that anxiety that it's like one day we're just biffing it royally and they're just sitting there going, I'm
Oh yeah.
ashamed to be with you.
Oh yeah.
So it manifests in a lot of different ways, but it's all valid and it's not meant to. I feel like a lot of people have shame about it too. Like, I know at the beginning of my journey, I felt a lot of shame over having anxiety because it was, I'm not supposed to have this. I'm supposed to be light, love, and happiness at all times. And let me tell you what, my spiritually empowered self is a real bitch. And I love that. It is so, it resonates with my soul. Do no harm, but take no shit. Absolutely. I love it. Ivy says, I can finish a speech while in the middle of a panic attack. Free adrenaline to get more done for me. Yeah, not gonna lie, adrenaline is the taskmaster of everything. So, when have you been the most anxious in spiritual realms about your spirituality? When can you pinpoint a time where it was like, yeah, that one right there?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I think you had mentioned it, Lily, as far as uh being in that spiritual practice. Okay, so for me, it was when I started practicing mediumship. I had a lot of anxiety around that for different reasons, and fear. The first reason was when I first started getting into it was I was fearful of, oh, am I going to start to see ghosts, or am I going to start to see things that I'm going to be scared to see? That didn't happen. I mean, I do see things, but it's doable. And then as far as the second part to that was when you actually take that step to practice with people, and practice with real people, not just in Facebook groups where you're safe behind your comment.
In the bubble, when you step outside the practice bubble.
When you step outside, well, first of all, when you reach out to people and say, hey, so I kind of am exploring this thing about me. I think I'm a medium now. Can I practice with you? And I did have some people say no, which was fine. But then most people said, oh yeah, absolutely. People are really open and accepting. So that was nice. And then sitting there with them, I did a lot of it virtually because this was all during like the pandemic. So then doing it virtually, sitting in front of them on the screen like we are, and just practicing, knowing that I'm practicing. So that took some of the pressure off, but then it's still, oh, am I getting what I think I am? I'm just going to say this. Do I say this? So for me, with my mediumship, hands down, that has been the biggest thing, because I feel like it's just, even though I'm the medium, it's still, I'm the only one that the person sees. So I'm the voice, I'm the everything. Whereas if I'm doing energy healing, that's just, to me, I feel like it felt so much safer to do for whatever, because it's not like I was trying to, the whole purpose is, hey, if you can relax, which you should be because you're just laying there. If you can relax, I've done my job. Anything else is extra. But just sitting there, just me and the sitter or the client, and saying, okay, here we go. Let's see what I get. And as soon as I start to get in my head, it made it harder to connect, which then, just kind of increase the anxiety with that. So, and I do hear that a lot with people who are first practicing mediumship. How do you know it's real? How do you not, do you say it? Do you not? Oh, I should have said this, should have said that, all that stuff that, only other people who have practiced mediumship can really relate to. So I know that part is common, as far as that goes. But for me personally, like, that's when you asked me right away, like, what brought me the most anxiety, it's definitely putting myself out there and practicing my mediumship.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's actually, I can pinpoint like 3 big ones for me. So one of them is, like you said, when you start seeing clients, and not just like, oh, practice and light and fluffy, but like clients for me was
Paid client.
oh my,
Yeah.
like, what if I fail? What if I mess up? What if what if the message is get a divorce and it wasn't meant to, that, like, all
Yes.
of those worry thoughts come in. And that is just part of being new, which is why, not to be a dick about it, but when people start seeing clients, they charge less because they still have that anxiety and that
I
not
did.
being seen and everything. And then the more experience you get, the more you charge. When people jump in and they're like, I've been doing this 6 months and I charge as much as someone doing it for 20 years because that's what we charge. I'm like, no, honey, that's what someone who's been doing it for 20 years and can do this almost in their sleep in front of a client. That's what they're charging for. They're charging for the 20 years, the 2 decades. But so that was one, like, dealing with clients at the beginning, definitely. Another one was, I was raised very Catholic, and I always knew I was psychic, and I started training young, but outside of like me understanding it, when I first started explaining it to people, I was like, I'm a psychic? Question mark.
Yeah.
Even though I knew it was true, it was this like fear of them judging me or not accepting me. And for those listening, here is your little bit of advice. Punctuation matters. When you start doing this, if you cannot say it with a period, don't say it at all. If you say something with a question mark, that leaves room for doubt, and then people are going to try and correct you with whatever paradigm they believe in, which their beliefs are their own, but they do not need to put them on you. So say it with a period, because once I started saying with a period, guess what? No one really fought me. No one was like, oh my God, you work with the devil. Jesus would not allow this. Be gone, Satan.
I mean, they still do. Let's be honest.
They do online. I have not had one
Yeah.
person to my face do it since I started saying it with a period.
It's
And
true.
I'm well aware that my personality, like in person, does not say, please correct me. It says, oh my God, you have an opinion. I don't care. Personality in person is not like, please tell me I'm not a psychic. It's, oh, you're entitled to your wrong opinion. Step aside, step aside. My life is not any less fabulous because of you. So those were two big ones. And then another one was, oh, this brings up gatekeeping. This one is hard for me, not going to lie. So when dealing with the spiritual community, there is gatekeeping and a superiority that if you meet someone who is very into a different school of thought or belief system or religion, and then they loudly or aggressively correct you, whether you're actually wrong or not, because some of this is just different beliefs. Like if you're Buddhist, you're not Christian, like those are just different beliefs. But some of it was like opinions, like, no, this is the way to do this. That caused me a lot of anxiety, like being corrected in the community, not for like, hey, this is for the betterment of you, but like almost being publicly shamed. That caused me a lot of anxiety, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I can relate to most of what you said there. That yeah. First of all, sharing about what it is that I've learned about myself. That okay, I can call myself a psychic medium because that's what I'm doing. I'm connecting with the other side and I'm passing out messages. What else do you call that? I mean, people have their own names, but that's the one that everyone seems to know. Most people seem to know. And then, definitely one thing that I have learned being in this quote unquote community and interviewing hundreds of people on my own podcast is that it's not black and white. There's no one right way to live your spiritual truth. And so I agree that I find myself sometimes like trying to say things in a way that'll keep somebody from correcting me,
Mm.
which I think sometimes so with that there's anxiety with that because for me I'm like, oh, like I'm the type of person where I don't like to get in trouble. I like to follow the rules for the most part if I feel like the rules are right, but I don't like to get in trouble. So tell me what you expect up front, and then that way I can do it and everything goes smooth. So confrontation is hard for me. So going back to this whole thing of not wanting to say something in a way that the person who has their very strong beliefs is going to say, no, it's not like that. So I completely agree. And what I've just learned is that there's just no one way of anything when it comes to spirit. It's so limitless. So to just say it's only this one way, I think is very narrow-minded. So
yeah, there was, when I was a teenager, I got this button with a picture of a mountain on it. And it said, no matter what path you take, the view's the same from the top. And I was like, true. And then it went like not on the button, but the concept goes farther. The only person who walks up the mountain wrong is the person running around the bottom yelling at people. And I'm
I
like,
love that.
yes, that soul's wrong. Absolutely. But yeah, it's when I teach classes, I always tell people, okay, spirituality in general, the whole spirituality, religion is its own branch, psychic is its own branch, whatever, is infinite. There are infinite possibilities. There are infinite schools of thought. I will teach the one that I'm trained in and I believe. If it does not resonate with you, don't pick it up. Set the energy on the floor, walk away. And I say the only exception is ethics and boundaries. So if I'm teaching that is just the way it is. Like consent is important. Like when people said, no, I don't want to have a reading with you and you respected that, it's like, yeah, consent is everything. Like, yeah, that's boundaries. You don't get to pick that up or set it down. Because I have had people do that. They're like, this is a gift from God. I'm allowed to do it. And I'm like, not to me or not. Like I'm in a
Yeah.
hug. I bet people like try to do energy work on me without asking, and I'm always like, take a step back, take, no, no, no. So, no one way for almost everything in this world. Ivy says that's very true. For the
Mhm.
vast majority of things, there are multiple ways to do it. Like I can't think of one thing because even breathing, we all breathe different. Like there are different techniques just to breathe, and we like
I know.
simple as that. Like we all inhale, exhale, but some people inhale longer and exhale shorter. Some people hold their breath. Some people breathe it through their stomach. Like there are so many different ways to do it. I love it. I love it. So, as we're talking about anxiety, what are quick tips to dealing with anxiety with your spirituality that you have used? You've talked about breathing, as we have just mentioned. What else you got?
Yeah. So for me, I have actually I've done a few things that have given me tools that I can go back to. So I have had I've seen, traditional Western therapist. I have a lovely friend who is a certified hypnotherapist. So I've done some hypnotherapy and some guided meditations through the Akashic records to help to get to the root of why these were happening.
Mhm.
So, um, with those methods, I was able to have sort of a little tool belt of tools that I can go back to. So, breathing has helped for me as far as just slow, deep breath, being back in the moment of where I'm at that moment. I'm safe. I'm not in danger, and it's more than just telling myself that because I think Ivy put it like you're sitting there and you're safe, but your body's like totally doing its own thing.
Mhm.
So for some reason, the breathing just gives me something to focus on. Even like with my Apple Watch, I'll
Mhm.
watch my pulse rate, and watching my pulse come down makes me realize, okay, I am okay. Look, I'm calming down. Um, so that has also helped me too. The meditations or the guided meditations, the hypnotherapy has given me some visuals that I can go back to. For instance, one being like visualizing yellow light, like sunlight, and remembering the feeling of the warmth of the sun or going out into the warmth of the sun for some reason was something that was given to me to then use as needed. So I've been doing that, which has helped. I cut out my caffeine. So now I just drink decaf. That has helped tremendously as well. So I'm mixing, the physical stuff because I'm in a physical body with the other things that I gain through spiritual complementary therapies as well. So just doing those different things and taking what works. Um, and it's interesting because when I would have these episodes, I think I mentioned I would call to sorry, see Ivy's comment about no caffeine sorcery. I know I drink decaf because I still like my morning coffee, avid morning coffee drinker. So that was a bit of a change, but luckily there's decaf to
Mhm.
still give me the flavor. So anyway, so I uh would call for my angels, like, please take this away. And a dear friend of mine, he's an amazing psychic medium. We were chatting on Messenger, voice messenger, and he said, I just have to tell you that there's an angel with you. And this was like the next day after I had an incident. It was actually in the Christmas tree lot at Home Depot, of all places, picking out a Christmas tree. And I'm like, I need to sit down. Like I was starting to come. And I was like, angels, no, take this away. This is not the time or place. I don't want this. I don't want this. Take it away. And then it was the next day when he was like, I just have to tell you that you have an angel with you. And he's like, I don't know why. I don't usually tell people that. And I was like, I know why, because I called them to be with me just yesterday. So that to me was validating that they were there after calling on them. So anyway, so those techniques seem to work for me, but it was over time. Like we're talking that these started happening to me. Um, I want to say around the time of the pandemic. So that was another thing. Like, well, is it related to the pandemic? It was soon after my lovely yellow lab buddy passed away. So it's like, was it related to that? Like, is it a culmination of things? And it could very well be. But it was around that time. So we're talking like a couple. 2-3 years now, of me sort of figuring out what works and what doesn't for me, and finally starting to get a handle on it more, and not feeling like as soon as I wake up, I'm on the brink of having an anxiety attack. I feel normal again, which has been huge. So
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. It's you cultivate your toolbox to assist you with anxiety over years. And but you have to start somewhere. Breathing is a great place to start. Find the technique that works for you and do it. Like schedule a session and just do breathing the whole session with a professional. And it helps so much. I'm a big fan of grounding. So in the present moment, like breathing, grounding, I like to disengage from the energy if possible. Like if I'm out in public, I will go to a restroom. If I'm in private, I'll go, excuse me, allergy season. Yeah, baby. The leaves have started to turn, which means I get to cough in every single live now. So I apologize everyone for that. I'm not sick. I'm just apparently allergic to nature. So to remove myself from the energy, if I'm in my house, I will go to a different room. I will go to the healing space in my house. There are ways to do it. And you're right, diet is one of them, the foods you eat. So while I do have allergic to a season, not all year round. Yes, I have year-round allergies, but right now the leaves are turning, which means the mold is up, which means my mold allergy is going. Ivy, thank you. So what happens is I love eating fruit, especially berries. That helps so much for me. I love it. And I don't drink caffeine very often, but I didn't have to cut it out. I added something. So you can add and subtract, people. Like be open to testing, and it's all trial and error. It's all trial and error. And then another thing that is important for me, and this goes into our next question, is the long-term massage, acupuncture. I love those so much. They help with my anxiety so much. You had mentioned sunlight. So again, the pale skin and everything, that's a hard no. But the second you said it, I was like, oh my God, if I just visualized rain and the experience of like standing in a nice spring shower, I'm like, oh, that, like, I felt that. And that was like, yep. So I feel like that's what sunshine is for you, is what rain is to me. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm at peace here in this. So and that just goes to show that everyone is different. And so we're both different and have different ways of doing it. But those are some of the quick tips to deal with your anxiety. And with that, I want to say the obligatory, none of this is mental health advice. If you need mental health, please seek a mental health professional. There is no shame in that. I have had many a therapist. I believe Western medicine and Eastern medicine hold hands. They're sisters. Be nice to both of them. Whatever you need, do it, honor it. Whatever professionals you need to see, absolutely. Please do not misinterpret any of this as substitution for your antidepressants or substitution for a psychiatrist. Is not. I would love to say that I am high king shit and I could heal everyone with my wise words. Yeah, not doing it. Not what? No. So now that we've cleared that up, and I keep adjusting my legs, I've been very fidgety the past few days. What are some of the long-term treatments? I know for me, acupuncture and massage, and then switching up my foods a little bit have just been awesome. What is your long-term stuff?
yeah, so I would say that everything I mentioned, definitely long term, keeping in my tool belt for whenever I need it. And like you, it was the same thing, like being able to know that there was a bathroom I can go to, having water. I've had to splash water on my face before. All of those, yeah, all of those tricks just to sort of change things up, like with your body, just get it to think of something else, has really helped. So, I do energy healing. So I feel like energy healing is a good one if you're going to go along the lines of like acupuncture, massage, etc. I can see that those other techniques can work really well. I know for myself. So I'm probably be fine now because I've gotten a much better grasp on my anxiety. But before, when I was still figuring things out, even getting my hair done, like sitting in that chair, and I would have to think like because I would start to feel it bubble up just sitting there because I'm thinking, oh my God, like if I start to feel this way, I got to let my hairdresser know. And then what do I do? Like, do I go out there? She's in the middle of cutting my hair, like all these things. So for some people, maybe sitting in a space like getting a massage or acupuncture where you got needles in you and you can't really get up, that could potentially make it worse. So you kind of have to gauge where you are in your spectrum
Yes.
of anxiety and getting a handle on it, just from personal experience. That there's a time and place for seeking those type of treatments. I know for myself, doing things more on my own, where I felt like if I had to stop and take a break, I can like get up and change rooms, like you said, all those sorts of things. And I didn't feel like I had to explain to somebody else, look, I'm fine. I feel like I'm going to pass out or throw up, but I've been dealing with it. It's not like something that I don't have a heart problem or something. You don't have to call 911. I just have to get through this. But the fact of the potential of having to tell somebody that also gave me anxiety. So because I didn't want to draw attention to it.
Yeah.
So
You don't
anyway,
want the burden. God forbid. God forbid. Yep. I feel that. You're right. And it's doing things that work for you through trial and error, and you can do them with yourself. But like you also said, I think a really good way of doing this is calling on your soul team, on angels, like knowing that if you cannot reach out to a human or you don't want to reach out to a human, you have an entire posse who has your back. And I would recommend starting to work with them now and get used to it so that when you need it, you just call them in and it makes things so much smoother for them to land. Because with your example that you gave, they are on demand. You get to call them in. They are there for you. You are not interrupting them. They are not in the bathroom. They are not in the middle of work. It is fine. They are there for you. And I think that is a resource that a lot of people forget with anxiety and spirituality, is that your guides are there for you to help you, to take care of you, to protect you, to calm you down, all of those things that are so important. So, last question. If you could go back to your younger self and give yourself one piece of advice about anxiety in spirituality, what would it be?
um, that it's more common than you think, and that it's okay to feel it, and that it's not going to mean that you're less spiritual, less worthy, less capable. It's just all part of the experience. Because I think I've heard somewhere that anxiety is one of the top reasons that people medicate. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but it's definitely, I think, one of the top mental health concerns out there is anxiety. It's just very common, and so if you're not somebody who normally has anxiety, you will come across it at one point. We're just humans. So, to tell myself that it's okay and it doesn't mean that you're anything less than anything from maybe those that don't portray the hard side of spirituality. I feel like we're getting a lot better these days. People are more open to talking about their dark nights of the soul, the hardships that led up to the awakening, all that good stuff. So I think that people are becoming more real, at least from what I've experienced. But I just love that you said, we get to be angry, like we get to be sad, we get to be all these things, because I think that maybe it doesn't get portrayed quite as much. So anyway, so that's what I would tell myself.
I love that. And I love the everyone has it type aspect. I would definitely say that too. I would also say get weird with it. Like trial and error everything, as long as you're not hurting yourself or somebody else, try it. One of the best visualizations that I have is so bizarre. So when I have worry thoughts, and I have worry thoughts a lot, it's part of my ADHD. I see them, and then I see the Yule cat. You may not know what the Yule cat is. It's a European folktale about Yule, and it's a giant cat that's bigger than a house that comes and eats the children who do not help enough. That big fluffy bitch comes in and swats aggressively, violently, the big murder mitt, the thought out of my head. That is not the point of the Yule cat. I want to be clear. That is not the fucking story. And it is the only thing I have ever found that works, that gets rid of my worry thoughts right in the moment. And so make it weird. Make it weird. I had a friend who all of their fears were eaten by Anubis. They would visualize Anubis at the end of their bed every night and just hand them their fears so that they weren't scared before bed. And I'm like, do it. Not his purpose. That's okay. We are MacGyvering this. Okay. There is nothing wrong with MacGyvering your spiritual experience. Try it all. Do it with yourself, with other people, with professionals, with your spirit guides. Try anything and everything. Ivy, by all means, borrow the Yule cat. And so it's just about self-discovery. And I get that anxiety is not fun. It is not comfortable. It's not meant to be. What is it teaching you? Is it a warning system? Do you need to be acting out of your authenticity? These are all really important questions for dealing with anxiety, with spirituality. And so I think that all of this just goes to show that we are all a beautiful mess and a work in progress. And that is the best thing ever. If I am ever done growing, I hope I die 1 second later. That's all I want.
There's nothing more.
Yeah. It's like, ding. I'm good.
Plus.
Yes. Exactly. So thank you so much for joining us, for taking time to do this, for sharing your wisdom and your personal experiences. So I know that you have a podcast and you see clients. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my podcast, it's called Guided Life. Sorry, I'm looking for my link tree because that has everything listed on there for everything. But it's called A Guided Life, and it's on all the major platforms. And I have all sorts of people come on and talk about spiritual stuff. So it's a lot of fun. And then I do readings as well. So the best way to get in touch with me is either through my socials, which I'll give you the link tree link because, again, it's all linked there. My website as well. There's a way to email me if you want to set up a reading if I don't have anything on the Calendly app there. But yeah, and I do energy healings as well. A lot of my focus right now is on the podcast because that just feels really good. But yeah, I do readings for people. I have a book on Amazon as well. It's called Guided, which is about my spiritual journey to also share with others who are new on their journey. So I give some tips and tricks that have helped me in the beginning of my spiritual awakening number 1 and number 2. So I do share about that also. So, yeah.
I love it. That is wonderful. So you are available to listen to your podcast. Please like and share and follow this, and then go and follow Laura West. She is absolutely amazing. I love talking to her. I'm very sassy and she's a little bit sassy. So it balances out really nice.
Oh my gosh. I could just sit here and listen to you talk the whole time. I'm like cracking up. I'm very entertained.
I am a cartoon character. I am not real. And when people are like, I don't even think you're like human. And I'm like, in the loosest sense of the term, I walked out of like a Bugs Bunny episode. Okay. I am right there with Elmer Fudd, just living it up. And I love it. If you couldn't tell, I just exude authenticity. And I'm like,
I love it.
Fine. So thank you so much for coming in. Remember, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments or go to lilyofthelight.com and I can answer them there. Have a great day. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.